we get this over with, I gotta go drink straight chocolate.
You merely adopted the chocolate.
It's not my chocolate. God, this show is gonna be so terrible.
Yeah, this
I was
one's
gonna say good.
This one's really just sorry. Let's just go ahead and lower your expectations right now. You know, we've been getting a lot of fan mail. That's a lot of pressure. Just lower your expectations.
Guys, come on. Stop subscribing. We are almost at 85,000 subscribers. Almost there. That's the big milestone, and I will put on a pair of glasses and drink beer outside naked. But not on camera. It's time for some shameless stuff. We are on Bandcamp, right? This week we hit number 13. I'm not sure if we got any higher than that, but when I checked, we were number 13 on Bandcamp. Number 13 Zweihander. Overall. Out of everything on there. Guys, you guys are awesome. I'm not sure who's buying this. I think there's one guy who's like got $1 million and he's just really, really awesome and he keeps rebuying it under different names because he doesn't have anything better to do. But dude, one guy out there who's doing that, thank you. If it's multiple guys, thank all of you. So right now I think we're like number 17, 18 or whatever on the entire Bandcamp website. So that's pretty cool.
It's the East Denver Zweihander Enthusiasts Club. Each week somebody takes turns for doing, you know, and then the local pizza place gives them a pizza. It's got like 14 members, so.
That means we're going to have another Zweihander very soon. I've got 3 or 4 songs ready. And let's get right into it with some unedited photos of Obama here. None of these have been doctored or touched in any way. Just wanted to show you guys what's going on here. I like that one, yeah. I can't believe that he posed for this. It looks like Star Wars there, a corridor. And he's just rocking out with his American guitar. That better be a Stratocaster, but it looks like an Eagle, a caster. Let's talk about news, shall we? This is stupid.
Yeah.
Thanks for buying t-shirts and all that stuff. I'm done being a whore. All right, CISPA is back.
You didn't actually mention Beer Games Beer by name, I don't think.
No, I didn't say Beer Games Beer by name. But guys, if you want to watch some streaming videos, I've been streaming Crysis this week. I'm going to stream a little bit more as soon as I get some time. I've been really busy playing with this. I've been bench pressing this all day long. It's a 79.7 Direct CU2 from Asus. And they probably don't like when I say Asus from Asus. And that thing is a monster. I benchmarked Crysis 3 with 1 M2 of those. So there's going to be a Crossfire benchmark on the 8350 and on the 3770K, and I even benchmarked it in that machine, which is the 3820. And let me give you guys a hint. The performance is almost identical. We're talking like 1-2 frames per second difference, but you'll have to watch to see which one is on top. I'll make that video probably tomorrow. Well, yeah. Anyway, CISPA is back, and we've got to do something about it. And the EFF has something very interesting going on with Namecheap. Now, Namecheap, it's a registrar, and I believe they're also a hosting company. Are they a hosting company? Someone will correct me and yell at me in the comments, but...
It shifts who actually is doing the spying, though, is the really insidious thing. Mm-hmm. So it removes legal liability for private companies sharing information about you with the government, because the government can't actually constitutionally collect a lot of data.
Yeah, well, they can go in and get some data, but a lot of the data they do have to get a warrant for.
But if AT&T were to sell them your data, which they have been doing since the dawn of time, there's nothing you can do about it.
And here's the interesting thing, because we need to raise some awareness right now, and we need to fight this. And the EFF is right there fighting this battle, but they need our support because they're a nonprofit organization. So what Namecheap is doing, they are donating $1 to everyone who goes on Twitter and uses the hashtag or the hash, whatever. What do you call these things? I don't use these things. Hashtag CISPA alert. So I went on to just
bash
tag.
No, I said bash tag.
Bash tags.
I saw that was really funny. Like people were using bash tags, quote unquote, to abuse some company that had terrible customer service.
So there, I went on there and I think this is my first hashtag ever on Twitter. I've got like 369 tweets, and this is my first hashtag ever. If you guys want to follow me, you guys can follow Logan_RTW. That's different than the Tech Syndicate Twitter. That one's the one where I talk about like horses and peanut butter and bazookas. Whatever I want to talk about, okay? And on the one that's for Tech Syndicate, it's more professional technology and Tech Syndicate type things. So there's that one. But go on there and hashtag that. All of the dickens, because every time you do it, Namecheap's going to give EFF $1, and we really need that. So let's talk a little bit more about what's getting into our business and how things have been changing on the internet. Now, the FBI really wanted to ramp up, I guess, their attack on online activists. And Aaron Swartz was an unfortunate victim of this. But this was not just the FBI. I mean, this is like pretty much the entire government. They want to...
Well, the White House in 2011 issued a thing saying, we're going to stop online activism, blah, blah, blah. And it's come to light. And, Aaron Swartz was some of the fodder in that, apparently.
And his FBI file has been released. So you guys can go on there and read through this. There's a PDF. We'll post a link to it here. It's on the Next Web, but I'm sure it's on several other websites as well. Several other websites that are a little faster loading. I'm being mean right now. I like the Next Web, whatever. I don't know anything about them. But you guys can go on there and read that if you like. It'll give you a better story. Have you gone through all this yet? I haven't gone through all of it yet. But
yeah, it's really interesting, their perspective. I mean, it really, it's really, you just have to go read it. It makes it really clear that, whoever put the file together was at least somewhat disconnected from reality and really has no idea what's going on.
Either that or they were connected to reality, but structuring this in a way that it is nothing but a blatant attack. So
this strikes I mean, like, if you look at history books and it's like, is your neighbor a communist? This is almost that level of insanity.
Hey, we're back. Every time some new technology comes out that makes people rethink the way the world works, we have stuff like this, and this is going to go on forever. Whenever they develop something that's even newer than the internet, can you guys think ahead that far?
Does your neighbor use the computer for more than 2 hours a day? They could be a commie.
Let's do a little follow-up on the electric car segment, because remember the dude from the New York Times drove the electric car around, and then there was a big controversy. And
it was the
CEO
Tesla S.
Tesla,
yeah,
he
ran the Tesla S until it was empty, and then he was like, I ran it till it's empty, and it stopped.
And he wrote a negative article about it. So the reporter from CNN redid the test, and his test results did not match up with those from the New York Times reporter.
In fact, that guy did even more insane things and couldn't run it out of gas.
Or electricity.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I just wanted to bring this up because there are places in the world that are doing things the right way.
Shout out to all our peeps in Estonia.
You just said peeps? We just said peeps on the tech.
I just read that on the internet somewhere. I have no idea. I probably sound like an old person.
Well, all our peeps gonna raise the roof in Estonia. I want a picture of you guys in Estonia, our peeps, raising the roof. Send me a picture and it'll be on the tech next week. But in Estonia, they're going to make the electric cars half price, and there's going to be a charging station every 25 miles. Just look at the map. I mean, Estonia is not huge, but look at this map.
But they also have fast internet there, too.
The fastest in the world. I'm not sure when this article was posted, 2012. Yeah, some tests came out. Estonia came out on top. So you guys are freaking awesome. Who's in charge in Estonia?
Apparently somebody that knows their ass from a hole in the ground.
Wow. It's like Estonia, Scandinavian countries are doing pretty well. There's still some insanity, like old insanity, like floating around in some of the Scandinavian countries. But we have Iceland and stuff like that. The rest of the world, watch these countries.
Germany's almost not insane, except they couldn't see the meteor video from Russia because of insanity.
Because GEMA?
Yeah.
That stands for, what does GEMA stand for? Gratuitous...
German Electronic Music Association?
Oh, I was going to say gratuitous, egotistical, maniacal asshats.
I think mine, even if mine's wrong, is probably closer to reality. That's just, I mean, you're not even trying.
Anyway, what else we got to talk about today?
The Google Glass demo is sort of crazy.
Yeah. Well, I just opened up the ACLU's, the 100-mile border zone thing.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
more about this than I do, but look at this.
Okay, yeah, so everybody should go read this article on the ACLU. This is another one of those crazy tinfoil hat things, but...
Is it tinfoil hat?
Well, it's not. I don't think it is, because...
This is actually happening.
DHS said that if you live within 100 miles of the border, which is on this map, and 2/3 of the U.S. population lives within 100 miles of the border, they can just come and seize your electronic stuff at any time without a warrant and make a copy of your data. They've been doing this at the border. There have been over 3,000 cases of this at actual border stations. But they're saying, well, you know, if you're near the border, we can also do that. And it's like, what? I'm sorry, no.
Well, look at this map. This is like the entire population of the country here. We got
New York,
L.A., San Francisco. We got San Antonio, which is just a gazillion people there. The entire state of Florida pretty much is in this. Even like South Carolina, places that people don't think, like Greenville, Charleston, places like that. All these places are in there. Tucson. Phoenix is just outside of it, so move to Phoenix and you won't get searched.
Yeah, so if you wanted to be secure in your person and effects...
Chicago.
Within 100 miles of the U.S. border, sorry, Homeland Security doesn't agree.
You know, they saved my neck one time. I was just walking around on a bridge taking pictures, and I got swarmed by cops because I was too close to a port. And I didn't realize this. I just had a little camera and I was taking pictures, and someone called the police or whatever. Anyway, I was swarmed by cops, and Department of Homeland Security showed up, and these 9 dudes with shorts and Kevlar on hopped out of a car. They're all wearing shorts and tennis shoes. It looked ridiculous because their top half is all and they just ran up and they told the police to get out of here, get out, leave him alone, go home. And they the police just got in their car and drove off. And the Department of Homeland Security said, "What are you doing?" And I told them, and they were like, "Get the hell out of here."
That's kind of insane. Did they make copies of all of the shit on your camera? Because that's just disturbing. The
guy's Homeland Security, he was like, "Did you take any pictures of that port?" And I was like, "Yes." And he goes, "Are you going to put those on the internet?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Good answer." And that was it. And then he was like, "I better not see these on the internet."
That's really disturbing.
Yeah, and he let me go, but it was kind of funny. But they did save my life. Those guys, the cops were being nasty. They were surrounding me we're going to throw you on the ground and kick you like we do, you know.
Can you imagine if you weren't a corn-fed white boy?
I didn't have my beard back then. If
go.
I had my beard, everything would have been totally different. It would have been beard, kid with beard, dangerous kid with beard. Throw him in jail, shoot him.
He's from the mirror universe. Kill him.
We're getting cyberpunk. So I like what's going on in Montana. We've got some of this stuff going on in Kentucky to a certain extent, but a new Montana bill would let the sheriffs arrest FBI agents for arresting people. So what would happen is the FBI would have to go to the sheriffs first to make sure that it's okay to kick down someone's door and do something.
And there's a ton of obvious exceptions to that, but this is mainly to stop the feds from raiding people that are manufacturing guns that's legal to manufacture in Montana.
Yeah, and exactly. And a lot of this is sometimes there's a federal law and there's a Montana law, and they don't really agree exactly. So Montana really wants to make sure that everything they're doing is in accordance with Montana law. And that would require, and a lot of times, they also said that a lot of times if they had a problem with somebody, they could go to the sheriff's office, and instead of kicking their door down and scrambling a helicopter for a gazillion taxpayer dollars, the Montana sheriff's office could call the guy and be like, "Hey, Carl, you want to meet for coffee and talk about what's going on here? I've got the FBI breathing down my neck."
That seems eminently reasonable.
It'll never work.
Instead, we have this paramilitary force who will, kill people with tear gas and whatnot.
I don't know why I laughed. It's that absurd that I laughed.
It's not funny, but I mean, at the same time, it's it could, I don't know. It's just insane.
Here's the Google Glass demo you were talking about just a moment ago.
Oh, yes. It's
basically like a GoPro with an integrated computer. It's Star Trek all over, but we haven't even had Star Trek yet because that's in the future. We're seeing this video here, but how well is it really going to function? That's what I want to know. Is it going to function as seamlessly and as beautifully as it does in these videos? Or am I going to be able to just talk to Google Glass and be like, "Google Glass, take this picture and send it to Bob"? Is it going to work? If it does, then it could change the world. I don't know. What do you think about this?
If the hardware is there, the software will be there eventually.
Do you think that wearable computers are the future?
The interface is a problem with wearable computers, but I think that people's brains have the incredible ability to adapt to large volumes of information, and delivering information through their visual field makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, this could make things like distracted driving and stuff like that a lot worse. It's certainly, this kind of thing could drive the evolution of society.
Yeah, well, if we get the electric unmanned car, and then you sitting in the back with Google Glass doing your work.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. And then what about these new roads that they're developing? I think they're in Norway, where the roads generate electricity, and as you're driving on them, you're charging your car.
That would be good.
Are we seeing how many years? 25 years in the future? Maybe?
No,
around the time of singularity, there where we can just sit around and eat?
We don't have the civil infrastructure or companies that can... We can't repair the road infrastructure that we have, so let alone upgrade it to be awesome.
Well, we probably could if we spent money in the right areas, but we're not doing that. And a lot of the companies that are there are so tightly integrated with the powers that be, so that's going to make it very hard for any changes to happen. And that's the problem.
It would be cool if we had a New Deal and Obama started rebuilding all the infrastructure, and then all the unemployed people would have something to do. But everybody wants a desk job these days.
I don't have any comment on that. Anyway, continuing this talk about wearable computers, back in May of last year, there's a watch, and I thought this was going to be really ridiculous when it first came out, mainly because I hate wearing things, but it's an e-ink watch called the Pebble, and they raised $10 million they only needed $100,000. They raised $10 million. That's how many people wanted a watch. It's essentially an e-ink watch Bluetooth, and it will talk to your Android device, your iPhone, and just get updates. There's apps for it, etc., etc. So there's that, and then we have the Iwatch coming out. So more small wearable computers, information coming to you from all directions. Could be the future. Are there any other wearable computers that we could talk about? I mean,
well, I mean, last year's part of the whole watch thing was last year's iPod model that was, you know, from the year before.
the Nano or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people had like a watch case or a watch housing for that. Like that blew up on Kickstarter. That was one of the
Bluetooth.
No, there's no Bluetooth on that. If there were Bluetooth, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah,
I actually got one of those.
No need for. Well, I guess one of the gimmicks with this e-ink watch is that it'll last like 7 or 8 days without recharge.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's another company here. I believe they're in the UK, and they have developed washable wearable computers where the circuitry is integrated into the threading of the clothes. And right now they just have some basic things going on with some LEDs that go on and off, but this could be very interesting for the future of wearable computers, where you buy a shirt and let's say the shirt has Linux or something on it, or the shirt can do X, Y, and Z, or give you notifications. You know what's going to happen? They're going to make shirts that tell you when to wash them. And they're going to make shirts that tell you when to replace them. Like they already have Nike, I think, has a shoe that tells you when to replace it. Like, like a toothbrush or something. Like, oh, this shoe is time to replace this shoe. Go buy another Jordan.
That's vaguely reminiscent of Back to the Future. It's like, your clothes are now dry.
Yeah. I'm not sure what could be done with this technology exactly. I mean, I want some ideas from you guys. What are we going to do with a shirt that has a computer built into the threading of the shirt I'm wearing around my silicone today?
I did see a prototype shirt that had a battery pack. It was washable, but it had a battery pack, and you could charge Apple devices in the pockets. Like in the pockets, it had dock connectors.
What if you had something that you were wearing, like a shirt or wristwatch or something like that, and it was a little bit more powerful than what we see today? Maybe it's like your computer, and whenever you sit down in front of a monitor with Bluetooth, all of a sudden you're on your own personal computer with all of your stuff that's stored in the cloud somewhere. Maybe that could be an application.
That would be an interesting future. And it's something like that's probably 10 or 20 years away, because we need extremely high bandwidth wireless, and that's probably going to be some form of laser optical.
Yeah, I mean, we see these little Ubuntu flash drives that people carry around, and that's their personal computer, you know, just installed on a tiny little flash drive that's on their keychain. So that's not too far-fetched. And then we have Valve. We have people at Valve working on wearable computers. And there's not a lot of talk about this, but there's one guy in particular, M.A. Brash, and if you guys want to follow him on the Valve blog, it's blogs.valvesoftware.com, and I'll put some links to his blog, but he is working on wearable computing, and there's a few blog articles here where he gets into what he's doing there. Doesn't give away any like ridiculous details, but you can kind of get a sense as to what they're doing and what they're trying to put together.
One of the hardware people that wasn't laid off.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still there. At least I think he's still there. If you're not there...
his blog is still there, and his blog shall live on.
All right, we've talked about Google Fiber. Yes, let's talk about some more Google Fiber. They're hiring engineers in Waterloo for Google Fiber. Waterloo, Ontario, I believe it is. Is that Ontario?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so...
And hilariously, Verizon came out with a thing that said, our customers don't want gigabit. If they wanted gigabit, we'd totally give them gigabit. Lol.
They're fine with canned tuna. They don't need real tuna. That was a terrible analogy.
Yeah, I was going to try to do something with that, but I don't think I could recover.
It's just crashed. Just like, I don't know what.
The customers don't want fiber because they don't realize what it is? Or, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Or because it costs, you know, you would charge them $1,000 a month or
like,
something.
Hey, would you want to... That's probably what they did. They probably went door to door and say, so, would you rather spend $40 or $1,000? And people were like, well, 40. Oh, well, clearly you don't want fiber. Next house. That's what they did. They interviewed 7 people, too, in very poor neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's probably actually... it's kind of sad, but that's probably exactly what happened.
They told Steve and Carl and Jill, the 3 interns they got from like a local school, they're like, just go out and ask them this question and bring us the results. What for? Just do it. I don't care what you think. Just do it.
And they come back and they're like, we kept having problems. People thought we were selling Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, wow. Could they afford them? That's like the new boss at what are we talking about again? Verizon, right?
Yeah, it was Verizon.
That's the boss's voice. That's what's going on around here.
It's like you know, hello, sir. Do you have time for a survey? Would you be willing to pay $10,000 a year for internet access? No. All right, moving right along. Thank you, sir. It's like, what was that? What was that even for?
Very accurate study there. Remember this whole legalizing or making locking cell phones illegal? Well, you guys someone out there started a White House petition, and it's reached the 100,000 signature requirement. The signature requirement was like 25,000 a few months ago, and then we kept doing these things, and the White House is like, we're sick of looking at these petitions and like then having to, pretend that we still ignore them, but we know people know that we had to look at them. So how do we get around this? Let's make it 100,000, and there we have 100,000 signatures, because making it illegal to unlock your cell phone is preposterous. It's antitrust. It shouldn't be the government shouldn't be involved in my cell phone.
In a very meta sense, it is kind of funny that the White House made this website to get better citizen participation in government, and then they're like, oh crap, people are participating. We need to up the limit because we're going to ignore most of this, but require 100,000 signatures.
You know what's going to happen? If this keeps up and things keep going to the White House, these petitions, it's going to be half the population. Did half the population agree to this? Well, then we're not going to look at it if they didn't.
We should start a citizen lobbying organization where people can just come and give like $1 or $5 to lobby, quote unquote, toward various causes. Politicians and other lobbying companies would absolutely lose their mind. Like we would be killed within weeks.
Like what, they're lobbying for the other team?
Yeah. It was like we want a lobby for a free and open internet, and lobby for this, that, and the other.
We mentioned this before. I just don't want to live in D.C.
Yeah, that's true.
Anybody want to live in D.C.? We'll build a server that does this and hide it somewhere in the core of the earth. Something can't get to it.
We'll have to use the Pirate Bay's technology to ensure freedom of speech. It's like, we're not doing anything illegal. We're just exercising our right to lobby.
Everyone's got to get a ham radio antenna so we can do this. So there's an Illinois State Senator that's pushing an anti-anonymity bill. Can you say that word?
Anonymity.
Anonymity. I've never been able to say that correctly. Anyway, so this jackass in Illinois.
He wants website operators to be responsible to remove any comment posted by anyone that we do not have their real name and information on request. Right. So you can have a quote-unquote anonymous message board, but if somebody says that this senator is completely retarded and has no idea how the internet works, he could request that they take it down, and the site operator is responsible to take it down.
Now, if you guys are going to freak out over this, let me give you some more stuff to freak out over. Did you guys know that in Arizona they've been trying to create a bill that essentially bans trolling on the internet? And did you know that, where else is there? New York, they've tried to pass a similar bill in New York. So
I think we have like one Supreme Court case that says anonymous speech is important, but it was not really the home run victory that I would have hoped that it was.
Has that judge been sacked?
Probably.
Probably has. Azure has overtaken Amazon's cloud service in performance tests. So if you run a website and you're looking for a cloud service, maybe start looking at Microsoft Azure. Are there any pros and cons? You build a lot of websites, Swindle, so what do you think? We're using Amazon on Syndicate.
Yeah, we actually have played with the Microsoft offering, and the Microsoft offering seems really insanely fast and awesome because no one's using it.
Maybe that's why. So essentially Amazon is getting a little crowded.
Yeah, Microsoft's system has a lot more overhead than Amazon's system, but there's not a lot of people on the Microsoft system, so it could be good.
And now we just send everyone over there and it's going to crash.
Yeah, pretty much.
So maybe this study will be the death of it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, the deal with Amazon is that they're down once a year anyway, so I mean, they don't really, when you sign up, they're like, well, this is really a 99% service, and you can count on it being down 1 or 2 days a year, and sure enough, at some random time during the year, they're down for about a day.
Have you seen the time?
Oh, God, it's rant 30. It hasn't been rant 30 in ages.
No, that's because the planets weren't in alignment or whatever. But the planets came into alignment for Lives On. Have you heard of Lives On?
I have not heard of Lives On.
Here's the way this works. Lives On essentially watches what you do. It's an artificial intelligence. It monitors your Twitter feed, and then once you die, it continues to tweet as you, and it's remarkably similar to the real you. So it's essentially your ghost. It's tweeting on forever. I don't want to live in a world where Twitter is so important that we are tweeting after we are dead.
What was that? That was the sound of thousands of people in the marketing industry perking up and saying, what? We can have a bot do this?
Listen, yeah, that's it's going to be great for the marketing world. Oh, you're totally right. I want to read their slogan. When your heart stops beating, you'll keep tweeting. Now, here's the thing that's really scary, and this is why this is Rant 30. This can exist all at once. That's fine. I don't care if it exists. One idiot can have an idea like this. I don't care. They can even make it. There's a huge demand for this. People, there is a huge demand for this. Do we really care that much about ourselves that we want to maintain ourselves? And, God, it just hurts. It's Twitter, people. Come on.
If you think about it, much more blood's going to shoot out of your nose.
Wow.
But it's really scary that, most Twitterers can be replaced with a bot. But it's even more scary because now we're going to have, companies having an army of bots tweeting on Twitter. Well, I'm pretty sure we already have an army of bots tweeting on Twitter about various products.
Yeah, but now the bots are going to be remarkably similar to...
Convincing tweets.
Yeah. I don't want to live on this planet. Does anybody want to move to, like, Montana with me? It's not really this planet anymore, is it? Let's just go to Estonia. If Estonia could block Twitter, you guys should follow me on Twitter. God, I'm not even going to go into the rest of this article, but it's that the troubling part of that is that there is a demand for it. I don't even know.
I had an idea for Wi-Fi enabled gravestones, and I was like, "That's the most no, we're not going to do that." It was
you
like
probably do that.
It was solar powered Arduinos, and you could put a micro SD, and it could be like inside the headstone. And then when you walk up, it's a captive portal. It's a hotspot, and it's solar powered, and the whole thing's ultra low power. I mean, I did the back of the envelope calculation, and for like $100 in parts, we could have something that should last 100 years. And I was like, no, this is just stupid. I'm not going to do this. And, some guy in California got $7 million of venture capital to do that. I was like, damn it.
And he's probably going to integrate it with this and add a voice to it. So when you walk up to it, you'll be talking to the person that's laying there dead. This is creepy.
I thought it was cool having it not even be on the internet, like having it all be local to, it's like you physically have to go there. I mean, you can have it on the internet.
Yeah.
But having it physically there, too, would be kind of cool. Because who knows what the internet's going to be like in 100 years.
And, if I was a writer right now, I'd be taking notes, and I would be writing a movie about dead people coming back from the grave and connecting with that technology, and then it would be some kind of a Ghost in the Shell type thing, but more weird.
I think we've just written the screenplay for next year's big blockbuster. It's like somebody's AI agent that they've trained to do stuff for them keeps on running after their death and harassing their wife.
Put some boobs and explosions in there, and we've got a AAA blockbuster thing.
We've got our 21st century ghost right there.
You just named it. 21st Century Ghost. This summer, 4 men and a ghost from the 21st century take on...
I'm thinking of like a scene-for-scene remake with like the thing where they're making the stuff out of clay, but I don't know how we would do like the digital avatar version of that. That's a really terrible scene, though. Alright,
so Ubuntu Touch can now be... the preview version can now be installed on Nexus devices. And guys, before you do this, let me just let you know that there are options. You can either install it over top of your Android operating system, or you can install it to work together with your Android operating system. But don't just go thinking, hey, this is going to work just fine with Android, because you might erase your Android operating system. But anyway, you can go and grab your different images for your various devices and then try it out. Some of the kids on the forum have been playing with the new Ubuntu on their tablets and whatnot, and the reports have been pretty cool. They're saying that it actually works well with touch. And who would have thunk it? When I first saw Ubuntu, I didn't think, hey, this was made for touch. Yeah, I did, actually.
We'll have to play with it.
That's why I installed GNOME 3.
Hey, GNOME 3's not bad.
And it's not for touch. Ready to talk about hardware?
Hardware.
Titan. The GTX Titan is out. How is it?
We don't know. We don't have one.
We don't have one. We've got this. And you know something funny? This beat the Titan in some of the benchmarks out there.
Huh.
Which is interesting. On some websites. Some websites are like, oh, the Titan murders everything. And some websites are like the 7970 gigahertz edition murders the Titan on some games.
In a few cases.
In a few cases. But still, the price to performance is better with one of these by like 10 to 1. Because you're getting like, a few extra frames per second with the Nvidia Titan, and you're paying 3 times the price. These things are like, you can get them for $400. I mean, $400 flat if you find them on sale. This one in particular is closer to $500, but you get this fancy schmancy cooling unit, and you can overclock the hell out of that. And I'm going to make a video on that very soon, show you guys how to overclock it. But I'm having quite a bit of fun. The benchmarks are all over the place. Check it out. The review on Tech Power up here. I watched Paul's video, so thank you very much, Paul, for that video. Paul sent me over a link, and I just never got around to writing an article about it today because I've been pulling my hair out, literally. But there's a review on Hard OCP, so you guys can take a look at those. But it's like $1,000. So I'm not really sure where this fits into the market.
It's like 3,000 some CUDA cores, but
No, not that many. It's like it's only
20 something, 2,400.
Yeah, somewhere 2,600 maybe.
But you can get two 690s, which is more CUDA cores.
But you can't render with two 690s, and you're usually Adobe will only recognize one of those cards unless they've updated it or something like that. So I would like to have one of those for rendering. I can see it fitting into that market, and it's the GTX Titan is based on the Titan supercomputer. So
and 6 gigs of frame buffer.
Yeah, but for gaming, I mean, get two 680s if you really need that much power, and you'll save, a few $100s, and you'll have more performance usually. So, or get one or two 7970s.
It's too bad AMD pushed back their latest thing to Q4. That makes me sad.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on there, but they're kind of like, oh, our 7000 series is doing so well that we're just going to continue to, improve the drivers, et cetera, et cetera. And what I heard was like, guys, something went really bad. Something's wrong.
Randy got loose in the drivers.
Yeah, the ghost of Randy is it went through all the circuitry and just destroyed it.
Randy decided he was going to replace the floating point part of the thing with Randy Point.
What the hell's Randy Point? Have you been drinking too?
It's his own implementation of floating point.
Randy Point? Somebody make Randy Point. I want to buy it. But I do not want to buy this. A Chrome OS laptop for $1,299. I do want this many pixels, so I do want to buy it and put Ubuntu on it, but it's $1,299. 2560 by 1700. The highest resolution ever on a Chromebook, or probably the highest resolution ever on a laptop. That's insane.
32 gigs of storage, and you can buy it today.
It's Chrome OS.
Yeah.
That's what baffles me. Guys, I don't like Chrome OS because I can install Chromium on Ubuntu. I can install Chrome or Chromium on Android and have tons more. I've had tons more power. I guess if you just want to open something up and like be on Chrome, you're good, but I do not understand the appeal of the Chrome OS at all. Like, not even in the slightest way. Do you?
No, I'd like to get one and play with it, but I really like having applications, and 32 gigs is probably not enough space for me.
Well, everything's supposed to be on the cloud with this thing. 32 gigs is really...
We don't have the cloud in this part of the world. We have the intermittent cloud that occasionally has latency spikes to 2,000 milliseconds.
Science and hardware together. We now have a bionic hand that can feel. And it can move. So what they're going to do, where is this at? This is in Rome. There's a 20-something man. He doesn't want to be named, and he's living in Rome. And they've created a bionic hand now. They're going to attach it to a few of his key nerves in his hand. And he should be able to move the hand and also feel based on several sensor points throughout the hand. He'll be able to control how he picks something up. He'll be able to feel things. He'll be able to feel a prick if someone touches it with a pin. And all this is because it's wired into his nervous system. So that's pretty interesting, and it's a huge step forward. They've had things like this before where people can feel pricks, but this is like the next step after that. It could function. In a few years we could have things that function just like the real thing, or even better than the real thing. We're gonna have the Bionic Olympics.
When we have implants that can directly interface your nervous system, that's the game changer. And this is the first step down that road.
Soon we'll have eyes. That'll be the next thing. Everyone will be in line to get their bionic eyes, so we don't have to wear the silly glasses. It's going to be Deus Ex. We'll talk about Deus Ex in a minute, the movie. The Inspiration Mars Foundation. They've announced that they are going to be making a manned journey to Mars, and they're doing a feasibility study right now. They're going to do some talking about that, but this is all backed by Dennis Tito. He's a millionaire, and he's one of the first guys that bought a ticket to outer space or whatever when they were selling like tickets. Hey, you can take a ride to outer space. They're going to be using some SpaceX technology. The SpaceX, they've got the Dragon capsule, and he'll put his crew in that because right now the Great Dragon capsule's been sent up to the space station. It's made to carry people as well, but they haven't put a person in it yet. But you guys can check this out: a manned mission to Mars. I'm not sure if they're going to be landing on Mars because I don't think they're going to be doing that, but they're going to be flying around Mars and then coming back home. I say go ahead and land, guys. But we're only in line to do this like once in a while. Like we'll be in line to do this in 2018, and then we won't. The planets won't line up again until 2031.
Oh wow!
So yeah, that's when it has to be. It's got to be in 2018, or else we're gonna have to wait quite a while in order to do this correctly, unless we develop some ridiculous teleportation technology or something. Wormholes, I don't know.
Or we can go really fast. But going really fast in space is bad because that means things like destroy the spaceship.
Debris.
Because really, if you think about it. Any spaceship that we have today going toward Mars, we're basically going there in an aluminum foil shell.
Yeah.
So that doesn't hold up well.
We hit a rock. Oh, we're dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about gaming. PlayStation 4 was announced this week, and I don't even know what to make of it. It's going to be an x86-based machine using an 8-core AMD, what do they call this thing? The AMD, floss my teeth and call me Sally. Using the AMD Jaguar. I always say Jaguar that way from David Attenborough. GPU is going to be capable of producing, or the GPU 1.84 teraflops. To compare that to the 7970, this guy has like, what's it, 3-point-something teraflop?
3.79?
3.79, something like that. So this one can do a lot of teraflopping, and that one does a little less teraflopping. But the difference is, and the reason that the demo games look so amazing, and they claim they're in real time, the reason they look so amazing is because Sony is giving the developers hardware-level access, and I've said this several times before, but they're giving them hardware-level access to the GPU. They're also using 8 gigabytes of GDDR5 as shared system memory for the GPU and the CPU, so that's lightning-fast memory. So that's really nice. I'm not sure if this is going to be a good or bad thing for the world. I think it might be a good thing for PC gamers because it's x86. The graphics are going to be absurd. Hopefully, this will pressure Microsoft to give developers, lower level access to the hardware, because right now everyone has to go through. If you're using Windows, you got to go through DirectX and all these APIs, and you have to deal with all this nonsense. And I mean, I'm sure there's more people than Microsoft involved in providing that, but yeah, it could be good for the gaming world. We could see, I guess, some crazier graphics on the PC thanks to this, instead of, usually the consoles hold the PC back when it comes to graphics. Skyrim. God, what a mess Skyrim was.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll help or hurt PC gaming. It could be that. Well, it'd be really neat if we, that could be good for the emulation scene. It's like, oh, it's an x86 processor, da 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 da. We can run PS4 games on the PC. Probably not.
Probably not.
That didn't really happen with the original Xbox.
Well, the APIs won't be there.
Yeah, that's true.
You're going to be able to do that through DirectX or OpenGL. It's going to be whatever API Sony provides to the developers, which is going to be quite a bit different.
Well, and Sony has ruthlessly gone after people who are just hacking the console for fun, so there probably won't be a lot of that either.
Yeah, speaking of hacking and used games, let's talk about used games, because we've reported that Sony will not allow used games. And then one of the guys from Sony, Shigeru Yoshida, that was as close as I'm going to get to it, he kind of said that used games were going to be okay. And so everyone reported like, oh, we can have used games. But the way that he structured his sentence made it seem like, yeah, you can buy used games and they will physically, he said that they will physically work on the hardware. I mean, you can put them in there and they will physically work. Now, what this is saying to me is you go buy a used game, you put it in there, and it's like, oh, you've got a game, but this was already licensed to somebody. It's going to work on your machine, and it will install, but you're going to have to pay this licensing fee.
Or it'll be up to the publishers. And then so it's like, oh, we Sony, we not a bad guy. No, it's Bethesda, they bad guy.
Yeah, Bethesda wants to collect because you bought that game.
Yep.
And, oh, you got the disc, you can install it, but you're going to have to pay for the serial number.
Yeah, this sort of bad guy misdirection thing is just old and tired.
I mean, Steam's been doing this for years, guys. And I don't see this as a bad thing. If you want a game, buy it. Whatever. But that's my opinion.
Or, at least sell it for $5 every now and then.
That's why Steam is doing so well, because they don't rip you off at their games, usually. I mean, when the brand new games comes out, but I mean, like, look at all the sales and stuff. People do not complain because they continue to offer them things at a price in which they are willing to pay.
Oh, you want the new Super Mario Brothers for your Nintendo DS? Yeah, it's still $40.
Yeah.
Even though it came out like 5 years ago. Those assholes.
They're going crazy about sharing, like with the PlayStation 4. Like, everyone wants to share everything, and that's a big feature. So a lot of people are kind of like weirded out about that. Like, you can stream your videos. You can watch someone else playing while they're playing, and if they're in a difficult part of the game, you can take over their game with your controller while watching them, across the internet. So that's some of the stuff that they're talking about. I'm not sure if that's going to work or not, but it seems pretty crazy. And I don't know. That's
gaming remote desktop. No, I don't think so.
So, yeah.
There was some company built their whole business model around that, and it created spectacularly. On live?
Yeah, when it first came out, I was like, this is going to flop so hard. And then it came out, and my friends were looking at me like, dude, this is so awesome. It's like the best thing ever. I mean, look at it. It's doing so well. I'm like, they're living on borrowed money. And then they died.
They didn't just die; they just evaporated.
Anyway, there's an article here on blog.amd.com. They elaborate on the APU and the CPU that's going to be going into that, so you guys can take a look at that if you really want to know exactly what hardware AMD is going to put in there. But it appears to be one of their APU units that's going to be the fastest ever. That's why they're calling it the Jaguar. The Jaguar. Yeah.
Oh.
There's some new screenshots from the standalone version of DayZ, and it looks like they're going for realism.
Dun 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 dun.
Hey, it looks pretty cool. If you guys want to take a look at those, there's a link.
I think the most interesting comment from there was, we didn't mean to rewrite it, but we had to rewrite everything.
Whoops. They rewrote the entire thing. So it's going to end up being like Arma 3 engine / DayZ engine.
It's a totally different experience. It better not be. Better be a better experience of the other experience that was good, because I kind of liked it.
Video game movies suck. Did you ever see Max Payne?
I have not seen Max Payne the movie.
I didn't even know there was a Max Payne movie until, like, you know, I was looking up, like, today. I was just out of curiosity. I was like, video game movies suck. And then, you know, of course, I didn't like Resident Evil. I thought that was kind of silly, especially the first few. And then the Max Payne movie came up, and there was Hitman. That was an abomination. But Max Payne? Really? Mark Wahlberg is Max Payne? So I was really worried about the Deus Ex Human Revolution movie. But the film director has said that they have decided they're going to be making a cyberpunk movie and not a video game movie. God, these things annoy me. So I just wanted to clarify. So what they're trying to say is that they keep reminding themselves that they're not making something that sucks, because all video game movies sucks, and there's a stigma around the idea of a video game movie when they want the public to think about this as a cyberpunk movie, because maybe that won't suck. The bottom line is here, guys, you better not ruin this franchise, or I will come to your house. And I can't threaten people on the tag. Especially not people that I don't know. I know our audience. I can threaten them. So, you know what? I don't care if you make a cyberpunk movie or a video game movie. Just make a good movie. They're going to be exploring some areas in this movie that were not explored in the games. They didn't want to make it just a retelling of the game. They want to explore other things. It sounds like they're just making something cyberpunk with the same characters, if you ask me. But we shall see. And they have not really released any information on who's going to be playing what. So the cast, I don't know. I still think Albert Manduka would be the best. Alex Denton, is that his name, Alex?
I can't remember.
That game was not as memorable as J.C. Denton in Deus Ex Part 1. But I still think Albert Manduka would be one hell of a lead character in that. I don't know. I mean, take a look at his picture. Someone Google it right now. Take a look. Well, you'll probably find a bunch of pictures of his modeling stuff and his travels and whatnot. But yeah. Anyway, that's where we're going to end it. With my little threat to these guys. Do not ruin Deus Ex. Or else I will have to remake a Deus Ex movie. And I'm not going to make Human Revolution. I'm going to make Part 1. Because that was a better story anyway.
I bet we could actually do a pretty good job writing the screenplay for that.
Oh yeah, I should have done that. I got too much stuff to do.
We do have a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, I better go start playing with this thing.
And the Crysis 3 benchmark's coming tomorrow. That's on the to-do list.
Yeah, that, and then the review for this, so... And we got a few Asus motherboards, Gigabyte motherboard in the house, and a new Funk mouse coming next week. Some reviews for you guys.
Are you confused by all the crap in your BIOS? Because that's coming too.
Oh yeah, we're looking at those BIOSes. Those BIOSes? Overclocking? Oh god, my head hurts. So many numbers I've been looking at lately. Subscribe. It's down there. Let's make it to 100,000.
Oh no, your mic died.
Alright guys, subscribe. It's down there. Let's get to 100,000 subscribers in the next couple months, and I will have a pizza party for everybody.
And it died again. Only my audio will be good. So rate, subscribe, whatever, something, pizza party, something, I don't remember. See you later.
That's some new screenshots. There's gonna be a lot of outtakes. I'm out of water. I can't speak anymore.